How's it going guys, Kris here, and today we're going to be running over the Turner SMLE in Battlefield 5. A semi-automatic rifle for the assault class that you'll be able to unlock at Assault Rank 10. Unlike most of the other guns in the game, the Turner SMLE was actually a prototype weapon, essentially a semi-automatic conversion of the short magazine Lee Enfield, aka the SMLE. A rifle that a lot of you guys will probably be familiar with if you played Battlefield 1. The SMLE might have been a British rifle, but this prototype variant was designed by an American, Russell Turner. And it wasn't created for the Americans, it was actually made for the Canadian Army instead. Developed during the time of the Second World War in the early 1940s, with the Canadians contemplating an upgrade from bolt actions to a faster firing semi-auto infantry rifle. The weapon itself featured a 10-round internal box magazine, and just like the Lee Enfield it derived from, it was also chambered for the .303 British round. A cartridge that would have been widely available to the Canadians, with them already using Lee Enfield No. 4 rifles as a standard service weapon at the time. One of Turner's SMLE prototypes was produced, and this went off for trials and tests, going up against the M1 Garand, where it actually fared pretty well, beating the M1 Garand in cold weather tests, with it performing fine enough in temperatures below -25 degrees, unlike the Garand, which encountered some problems. Though despite doing well in the trials and seeming like a pretty good fit for the Canadian Army, it was rejected in the end, having a design that was a bit too complicated for military adoption, which would have resulted in high production costs. Anyway, moving on to the stats. The Turner SMLE's got a pretty nice balance between its power and speed, firing off bullets at a decent pace while also dishing out some reasonable damage figures too. It deals 40 damage up to the range of 25 meters, which then slopes off, becoming weaker from here the further your bullet travels, eventually dropping down to as low as 23 at the distance of 150 meters. So this basically means that the gun's capable of knocking down players in 3 bullets within short to mid distances, up to the range of about 50 meters. It'll then take 4 shots from here out to 100 meters, and then an extra 1 beyond this. Though if you want to kill in less bullets, planting a headshot is almost going to double the damage, most of the time letting you take down players in 1 less round, giving it the same damage profile as the MAZ-44 along with the base version of the M1 Garand. Damage isn't the only thing that the Turner shares with those guns, as it's also got the same fire rate of 360 RPM too, and this damage profile is sort of in the middle of the pack when looking at the other semi-auto rifles, having more stopping power than a few of the faster firing guns, especially within shorter ranges, while also shooting faster than average as well, allowing it to be useful with aggressive tactics and run and gun playstyles quite effectively. Looking at the recoil stats, the Turner SMLE's got the very same horizontal figure as all the other semi-auto rifles, with a value of 0 for both left and right directions, meaning that it's only going to kick upwards as you fire away, having the vertical value of 1.32. Although this isn't exactly terrible, being lower than a few of the others, it's still not exactly a great value to have either, being a tad higher than average, including those other rifles that fire at the same speed. Having a bit more bounce per shot is likely going to impact the weapon's effectiveness over further distances, possibly making it slightly harder to use. And this isn't really helped by the Turner also having a pretty mediocre bullet speed, only having a muzzle velocity of 700 meters per second, which, once again, is beaten by most of the other semi-auto assault guns, giving it some generally under average stats for accuracy as a whole, especially for use over those longer ranges. The gun's surely usable against players far away, and it's obviously going to be a lot more effective than close quarter weapons like the SMGs and shotguns, but accuracy over range definitely isn't one of the rifle's strongest aspects, at least compared to a lot of its semi-auto counterparts anyway. Though you do have the option to lower its kickdown a bit with a recoil buffer specialization, which will help to make it a bit more competitive beyond medium ranges, and should allow you to retain more precision while firing at the gun's maximum rate. Having the ammo capacity of 10 rounds isn't exactly anything out of the ordinary for Battlefield 5 semi-auto rifles, with the Turner holding the same amount as a fair few of the others. Unlike a lot of the others though, this capacity can be doubled up to 20 rounds with extended mags, allowing those bullets to keep on flying for a bit longer, letting you take on more players one after the other before the need to reload. An extra round will also be given to you if you choose to run with detachable magazines too, and with the gun having access to several different magazine choices, it's generally going to be a more reliable thing as a whole, helping to keep you engaged in the fight for longer, which will be handy when pushing the objective and playing closer to all the action. In the rifle's base form, it's going to take between 2.9 to 5.8 seconds for tactical reloads, 4.8 seconds when it's empty. Obviously, if you opt for an extended mag, you'll still need to load more clips and individual bullets to fill that mag up, taking more time to do. 8.7 seconds at most, which can be a pretty long time to wait if you get caught out in the middle of a chaotic scenario. Though if you opt for the detachable mags instead, you'll be able to cut tactical reloads down to just 2.2 seconds, and empties down to 3.15 seconds, which is far quicker than its normal reloads, and a lot quicker than most of the other semi-auto rifles do, potentially making it one of the most dependable rifles of the lot. Moving over to the specializations now, where you'll be able to counter quite a lot of the gun's main drawbacks. At the very top of the spectrum, you'll be able to find both quick aim on the left and barrel bedding on the right, and because you'll often find yourself closer to all the action when using the Turner, I often find that quick aim is a pretty good choice here to improve its responsiveness in gunfights. Barrel bedding's got a reduced spread while stationary instead, which can also be handy, but probably a bit less useful for this weapon in particular, with it generally being more geared up for rushing enemy positions. Further down the tree, things start to get a bit more interesting, as next up you'll be able to find the enhanced grips and the extended mag specializations on the left, tightening up hipfire spread and giving you that 20 round magazine. Though on the right, you'll instead have access to the custom stock and detachable magazines, improving spread whilst on the move, plus giving you those far quicker reload speeds. Both sides are going to make a drastic difference to the Turner's reliability, though I'd often be more swayed to go down the right side, with those tactical reloads being so swift and consistent, and with it also lowering spread while you're on the move too, which is all going to help to improve the rifle's performance for aggressive play. Last of all, we've got those recoil buffer and lightened stock specializations at the bottom, and because the Turner SMLE does suffer a bit with that higher than average vertical kick value, reducing that down a bit with a recoil buffer seems like a bit of a no-brainer, helping to counter one of the gun's more noticeable flaws, something I'd say is a bit more useful than increasing ADS movement speed. So, in conclusion, the Turner SMLE is a bit of a funny old thing that only really shines when you get those specializations involved. In its base form, it's outclassed by a lot of its competitors in most areas, not really having many brilliant stats, whilst also doing quite a lot of things worse than the other semi-auto rifles too. Its kill times are reasonably good, striking a nice balance between its bullet damage and speed, and this allows it to excel a bit closer to the fight, as opposed to taking on players further away in the distance, due to its lackluster bullet speed and higher than average vertical kick, hindering the weapon's performance over longer ranges. Once you work your way down the spec tree, however, quite a few of the gun's main drawbacks can be countered, and its effectiveness within those shorter sight lines can be improved even more, with it having access to 2 magazine options, both of which are going to make it more dependable within those earlier ranges, helping to ensure you'll be able to stay engaged in the fight for longer than a lot of the other semi-auto rifles, which combined with its damage profile, basically optimises the weapon for offensive tactics and attacking objectives, getting stuck into the battle closer to the action. It's not going to have the superior stats for long-range gunfights, but it's still a pretty safe option nevertheless, that's simple to get to grips with, being one of the most reliable semi-auto rifles for aggressive playstyles. So that's it for another one guys, hope you enjoyed the guide, big thumbs up if you did, which is always appreciated, and of course, subscribe for more content here on my channel. Take it easy, and I'll be seeing you in that next one.